It's picking up like crazy, and we need that. That's the beauty of the spring market. We hope, right? We just need some more inventory.
Hello, welcome to Mortgage Minute. My name is Matt Thomas. I'm a local realtor in my 15th year, and my co-host is Brian Dewald, a highly acclaimed local mortgage lender in his 20th year. Both of us serve the Denver metro and surrounding areas. And today, as always, we're going to not only update you on market conditions, but we're going to talk about some viable solutions that we're working on to help home buyers and sellers navigate today's market. I think, Brian, we're going to start with a little update from the Fed. We haven't done an update on this in a while, but the Fed is ultimately what drives mortgages to some extent, right? And so we need to understand at least what's the economic drivers of the conversation that we have every day with buyers and sellers.
The Fed started, they had two days worth of meetings, and Powell had a big press conference after Wednesday's meeting and had some pretty good commentary. I think the mortgage world is responding positively to this. As quick as the news came out, the bond market started to rally. Yesterday we rallied. Today we're rallying a little bit. So all of that coming on the heels of some relatively expected, but also good news from the Fed. Nothing 100% concrete. They never are when it comes to,
Right.
saying this is exactly what we're going to do. But the commentary was pretty good. And like I said, bond friendly. So all good news. We're taking it. We're loving it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we started out the week in sort of a little over 7. It seems like we've made up some ground. And at last glance, I know that we made positive gains in the mortgage rate ultimately. And it's now showing under 7 again for a 30-year fixed rate. So that's great news. I think one of the things that I'm seeing is, inventory. It's springtime. Naturally, the inventory is going to pick up. This is when sellers tend to list. It tends to be when sellers get their highest price between now and the next couple of months. And so that's always a function of buyer demand. Brian, are you seeing any buyer demand slipping based on the mortgage rates?
Nope. It's picking up like crazy, and we need that. That's the beauty of the spring market. We hope, right? We just need some more inventory. It seems like that's scarce, and I think it's going to be for a long time. But the more buyers that come out, luckily we've had a few more sellers come out, but we're still seeing a ton of competition out there at almost every price point.
Well, buyers and sellers are not always in separate camps. Sometimes they emerge from the same camp. In other words, a seller sells their home and then becomes a buyer again.
Yeah.
And so sellers are also sort of waiting for mortgage rates to do what everyone's hoping they're going to do, which is come down, and then they're going to list their houses. So the more that interest rates improve, the more sellers I think we're going to see in the market. But I'll tell you, Brian, you and I were talking, and we've been talking about this, and we're seeing as rates improve even just a little bit, we just seem to see more competition in the marketplace.
Yeah, for sure. And I know there's a stat out there. I don't know it off the top of my head, but for every 1% that rates come down, this many more buyers come out, right? Whether they're first timers or sitting on the sidelines or whatever the case is. I think a lot of people are just sort of waiting to see what happens. And there hasn't, not even close, been to any sort of a crash like some wackos have predicted, you know what I mean? So
you have to have a lot of inventory for a crash to happen. So
yeah, we're not even close, right? So it's it's been an interesting, even just since the beginning of this year, our lead count is way up, our under contracts are way up, all that kind of stuff. It's proven to be a good year so far. So I think we'll continue to see that more.
Yeah, well, certainly in comparison to 2023.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at right now. I mean, we're not even to April yet. And this is really when the spring season starts to really kick off. So
Right.
We are seeing you mentioned every price point, you're seeing some increased competition. Not every single listing is absolutely flying off the market, but there are some that are flying off the market and then some, because they're actually seeing multiple offers, and people are figuring out ways to cover the difference between, contract price and what it might appraise for. So
Right.
We're sort of back to those conditions. And, you talked about a 1% difference in mortgage rates, how many more buyers that might bring to the market. 1% is a huge difference, right? So I can only imagine what 1% change would actually bring. And I don't think our changes to the mortgage rate they'll be incremental, they'll be smaller, you'll never see a 1% drop in a short amount of time.
Absolutely.
But man, that's I don't have any doubt that the demand is going to kind of blow the roof.
We're looking that way. Yeah. And I think, again, kind of getting back to some of the Fed comments, right? They were for the mortgage world in terms of anticipation, right? We never know for sure what's going to happen until it does. But at least the comments that the Fed was making, again, that's why the mortgage bond market for the last 3 days or so has really improved almost 100 basis points in 3 days, right? It's been a pretty good chunk. And just based on these comments, there's 7, I think, of the members thought we're going to see a 75 basis point crunch down in Fed rate this year, and more in 25 and 26. So, if that comes, and the other thing that's kind of neat is they're really saying, even if this doesn't happen, right? Even if this doesn't happen, they're talking about balance sheets. They're talking about reinvesting in mortgage-backed securities again. The reason that one of the reasons rates got so low during COVID is the Fed was pumping cash like crazy into mortgage-backed securities. So if they start to buy mortgage-backed securities again, mortgage bonds, we're going to see some improvement. So who knows if and when that will happen, but be sure that when it does, the buyer market's just going to be that much harder.
Well, again, I think that's the overriding point here, is that right now, current buyers are dealing with the current rate environment, which is roughly 7%. Right now we're under 7% for most people, depending on your qualifications.
Yep.
And ultimately, we're having a spring season like we've had just about every other spring season, in history. This is when people come out and they're ready to buy, and they're doing it, and they're waiting for people to list their homes to have more choices. But these rates are, they're not here to stay, it doesn't sound like, but they're not going to come down immediately like we talked about. And I think, there's enough people now adjusting to what the current rates are and current environment is, that they're making decisions based on that and moving forward with rates as they are. So
right. I agree.
Very good, Brian. Well, I appreciate the update. If we could tease just a little bit, I think you've got a program and a product that we want to talk about. We'll probably get in touch next week, and we'll put that together on video. So I know you're super, super excited about rolling this out. It's a product for buyers and it helps buyers and sellers, but it's a cash product that helps people be competitive, right?
Sure.
Yeah, right on. Yep. All right, well, it's good to see you without the beard. You're looking good.
Getting there. My razors are sure getting chopped up in a hurry these days.
Nice.
First time in, I think, 15 years I haven't had any facial hair, so pretty crazy.
Oh, seriously? Wow.
Yeah.
I thought that I'd seen you like that before. Maybe I've just seen pictures. So
whatever, maybe. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Good to see you.
Great to see you. Have a good weekend.